We begin in the vast, almost unfathomable expanse of the universe, where stars pulse like distant lanterns and galaxies swirl in silent, graceful choreography. Imagine a cosmic stage, illuminated by light that has traveled millions, even billions of years to reach us. Yet behind this majestic display lies an invisible world, a hidden domain where particles dance, flicker, and collide in ways that defy ordinary perception. It is in this unseen realm that the whispers of existence emerge, subtle yet profound, hinting at forces and entities that shape reality itself. Among these silent actors exists one particle unlike any other, one that seems to evade the relentless grip of time, slipping through the fabric of causality as if it were a shadow gliding between moments. Its presence is felt rather than seen, a delicate tremor in the symphony of matter, leaving scientists and philosophers alike grappling with questions that stretch the limits of imagination. What does it mean for something to exist beyond the clock's ticking? Can a particle truly escape the linear flow of past, present, and future, or is our understanding simply too narrow to perceive it fully? As we peer closer into this microscopic theater, every detail becomes amplified. The faint quiver of energy, the spark of interaction, the ghostly echoes of collisions that never touch our senses. Vivid mental imagery begins to form, a particle weaving through the lattice of reality, moving with a freedom that mocks human expectation. Contrast emerges between the vast certainty of celestial mechanics and the uncanny unpredictability of the quantum realm. The audience is drawn into a tension-filled narrative, suspended between awe at the universe's grandeur and an unsettling curiosity about its hidden enigmas. The stage is set, not for a simple scientific explanation, but for an emotional journey. The particle becomes a symbol of the unknown, representing the eternal human desire to explore, to understand, and to confront mysteries that lie just beyond perception. In this opening glimpse, viewers are invited to step quietly into a world where imagination and science converge, where every discovery carries both revelation and a lingering question. What if everything we think we know is just a shadow of a deeper, more elusive truth? We descend now into the shadowy, enigmatic world of the quantum realm, a domain so small and so strange that the rules of classical physics, the rules that govern our daily lives, begin to crumble and twist. Here, particles flit in and out of existence, probabilities replace certainties, and reality itself becomes a matter of observation. Imagine a landscape invisible to the naked eye, where waves and particles intertwine, energy pulses in flickering rhythms, and what we consider solid is, at its core, a delicate dance of forces. The contrast between the predictability of the macroscopic world and the wild unpredictability of this subatomic universe creates a tension that grips the imagination. Within this realm, the particle that defies time begins to take shape, though never fully revealed. It is a ghost among ghosts, slipping through the fabric of the quantum stage with a freedom that challenges the very concept of sequence. As scientists probe deeper, designing intricate experiments to track its fleeting presence, the particle seems always to be one step ahead, a shadow at the edge of perception. This section immerses the audience in the strangeness, painting vivid mental pictures of oscillating particles, entangled pairs that communicate instantaneously across vast distances, and the shimmering uncertainty of probabilities collapsing into fleeting moments of reality. The narrative contrasts the comforting clock-bound world we inhabit with this wild, counterintuitive subatomic domain. Whereas our lives are ordered by cause and effect, these tiny actors operate in ways that seem almost rebellious, their behavior teasing the limits of human comprehension. Questions arise. Can something truly exist outside of time? Can the boundaries of our universe contain entities that flout its rules? The mystery builds, evoking awe and an almost cinematic tension, as if the universe itself holds a secret that has been whispering to us all along, waiting for the right moment to reveal its impossible truth. Through this journey, viewers are drawn not just into science but into philosophy. The particle becomes a metaphor for uncertainty, for the gaps in our understanding, and for the fragile line between what we can measure and what lies beyond our perception. Each observation, each experiment, carries both revelation and frustration, keeping the audience on edge. The section closes with a lingering sense of wonder and anticipation, leaving a haunting question hanging in the air. In a world where the rules themselves can bend, what is reality and what is mere illusion? We turn our gaze now to the architects of discovery, the brilliant minds whose curiosity has propelled humanity into realms unseen, into the hidden dimensions where particles dance beyond comprehension. Imagine dimly lit laboratories filled with the soft hum of machinery, the glow of monitors illuminating faces etched with focus, wonder, and sometimes frustration. These are the visionaries who dared to challenge conventional wisdom, to look past the comforting boundaries of everyday perception, and to ask questions that most would consider impossible. Their journey is as much human as it is scientific, a blend of intellect, obsession, and the courage to confront the unknown. Contrasts emerge immediately: the genius of insight versus the limitations of understanding, the exhilaration of discovery against the shadow of failure. Each scientist carries their own story, their own doubts and passions, and it is within this human drama that the particle's narrative truly begins to take form. We witness sleepless nights spent observing data that flickers and shifts like a living thing, heated debates over interpretation, and moments of breathtaking revelation that illuminate not just the particle, but the human drive to comprehend the universe. Through cinematic imagery, we see hands hovering over instruments, eyes tracing graphs that defy logic, and minds wrestling with the implications of something that refuses to obey the familiar laws of physics. The narrative emphasizes the contrast between certainty and uncertainty, framing the particle as both a challenge and a teacher. As these pioneers edge closer to glimpsing its elusive existence, the audience experiences the tension of a suspenseful story. Each experiment could yield profound insight, or dissolve into bewildering ambiguity. The particle becomes a mirror, reflecting the limits of human knowledge, the hunger for understanding, and the courage to pursue truth despite risk and doubt. Emotionally, the section resonates because it humanizes the abstract. The particle is not merely a scientific curiosity, it is a force that tests intellect, resilience, and imagination. By highlighting the human stakes, the obsession, the joy, the anxiety, we draw viewers deeper into the story, creating a cinematic tapestry where science and emotion intertwine. The section closes with a sense of anticipation, leaving the audience eager to follow both the particle and its discoverers further into the mystery, wondering what revelations lie just beyond the next experiment, and how far human curiosity can truly reach. Time, that relentless and invisible current, shapes everything we know. It marches forward with unyielding certainty, guiding the rise and fall of civilizations, the blooming of flowers, and the ceaseless orbit of planets around distant stars. We measure it in seconds, minutes, and hours, framing our lives within its unbroken rhythm. Yet what if this familiar flow is not the absolute, unassailable framework we have always believed it to be? What if, beneath the surface of everyday perception, time is a far more malleable, elusive force, one that a single particle could slip past, unbound and free? In this section, the documentary shifts its lens to explore time as both a scientific principle and a philosophical puzzle. Vivid imagery paints clocks and hourglasses dissolving into waves of energy, the linear progression of past, present, and future bending and fracturing before our eyes. The narrative contrasts the comforting predictability of temporal order with the unsettling possibility of exceptions, of moments or entities that defy its constraints. This sets the stage for the central mystery, a particle that may exist beyond the rules that bind all other matter. The tension is palpable, as viewers are asked to consider a universe where cause and effect are no longer guaranteed, where chronology may not dictate reality. Through cinematic storytelling, we traverse multiple scales, from the vast sweep of cosmic time, stars forming, dying, and scattering their remnants across galaxies, to the infinitesimal intervals in which quantum phenomena unfold. The particle's defiance of time becomes both a scientific anomaly and a metaphor for the limits of human understanding. Philosophers and physicists alike are introduced, their contemplations adding emotional weight. Time may be something we perceive but not something absolute, a construct intertwined with consciousness itself. Contrast is drawn between the tangible, measured world we navigate daily and the unseen, unbound realm where this particle moves. As the section unfolds, questions accumulate like sparks in the darkness. Can a particle truly escape time's flow, or is it our perception that is incomplete? How does one even begin to measure the unmeasurable? The audience is led to a state of awe, teetering on the edge of comprehension, grappling with both the beauty and the terror of a universe where the most fundamental rule, time itself, can be questioned. The narrative closes with a lingering sense of suspense and wonder, preparing viewers for the imminent encounter with the particle that challenges everything we think we know about reality. At last, the particle steps out of the shadows, though never fully into the light. It is elusive, almost spectral, a whisper in the fabric of reality that hints at something far greater than ordinary comprehension. Imagine a tiny flickering point of energy, moving with intent yet resisting capture, threading its way through the quantum lattice as if aware of every observer, every instrument, every attempt to constrain it. Scientists have glimpsed its presence in fleeting moments, traces on detectors, subtle anomalies in data, but every observation seems to underscore its defiance, reinforcing the sense that this particle exists on the border between what is and what could be. The narrative immerses viewers in a cinematic visualization of the particle's emergence. Waves of energy shimmer and twist, entangled particles respond in uncanny synchrony, and time itself appears to bend around this singular entity. Contrasts abound. The painstaking precision of human instruments against the particle's chaotic grace. The certainty of established physics against the mind-bending anomalies it produces. Every experiment tells a story of both triumph and frustration, of fleeting victories quickly obscured by the particle's enigmatic nature. It becomes clear that this is no ordinary discovery, it is a confrontation with the unknown, a brush with a force that refuses to submit to expectation. As we explore the particle's behavior, the audience experiences a blend of awe and tension. Its resistance to time evokes philosophical questions as well as scientific ones. If something can escape time, what does that say about the structure of reality itself? Each fleeting glimpse, each subtle ripple in the detectors, carries weighty implications, suggesting that our understanding of cause and effect, of past and future, may be far more fragile than previously imagined. The cinematic storytelling emphasizes this contrast between human ambition and the universe's vast mystery, heightening emotional engagement. This section also delves into the human reaction, the scientist's exhilaration, disbelief, and cautious reverence. Their discoveries are punctuated by moments of silence, the kind that fills a lab when the impossible briefly touches reality. The particle becomes a symbol of nature's capacity to surprise, a reminder that even at the smallest scales, the universe holds secrets that challenge both intellect and imagination. By the end of this section, viewers are left suspended in wonder, compelled to follow the particle's journey further, eager to uncover the mechanisms behind its defiance and to understand what it truly means to exist beyond the flow of time. We now step into the heart of experimentation, where human ingenuity collides with nature's most enigmatic secrets. The laboratories are cinematic realms of precision and intensity. Banks of instruments hum with electric anticipation, lasers trace invisible pathways, and detectors await the faintest hint of the particle's presence. Every detail is meticulously designed to capture what seems almost uncatchable. A particle that slips through time, evading observation, challenging the very foundations of physics. The contrast is stark, the ordered, controlled environment of human science versus the unpredictable, almost sentient behavior of the particle, which refuses to be tamed. Viewers are drawn into the tension of high-stakes experimentation. Scientists hover over screens, their faces illuminated by fluctuating graphs that flicker like distant auroras. Each trial is a blend of hope and uncertainty. A successful detection could redefine our understanding of reality, while a failure leaves only questions and the haunting sense of having brushed against something extraordinary. The narrative emphasizes the painstaking nature of discovery. Repeated tests, intricate calibrations, and moments of despair punctuated by flashes of revelation. Cinematic imagery heightens the drama, the particle's fleeting interactions rendered as shimmering pulses of light, colliding with detectors like tiny sparks in the void. Beyond the technical, this section explores the psychological stakes. The researchers themselves are characters in a story of obsession and perseverance. Some are driven by pure curiosity, others by the weight of potential fame and scientific legacy. Emotional tension rises as we witness the strain of long nights, the exhilaration of progress, and the creeping doubt that accompanies repeated failure. The contrast between human determination and the particle's apparent indifference creates a narrative push and pull, keeping the audience deeply engaged. The experiments themselves are described with vivid specificity. Complex machinery, particle accelerators, and quantum traps become the stage on which this elusive entity performs. Even as instruments attempt to pin it down, the particle seems to dance just beyond reach, hinting at its mastery over the very concept of time. These cinematic depictions illustrate not just the science, but the philosophical wonder inherent in observing something so fundamentally enigmatic. By the end of this section, the audience feels both the thrill of discovery and the weight of uncertainty. The particle remains a mystery, but one that is now tangible, almost palpable, teasing viewers with glimpses of its behavior. The section closes with anticipation, setting the stage for deeper exploration into the paradoxes it creates and the philosophical questions it raises about reality, observation, and the universe itself. The paradox begins to unfold, stretching the mind and the imagination into territories few have dared to explore. Imagine a particle that exists outside the familiar flow of time, moving in ways that seem to mock the very foundation of cause and effect. One moment it appears, the next it vanishes, leaving only subtle traces, fleeting evidence that challenges everything we know about the universe. Cinematic imagery paints a scene of temporal distortion, clocks slowing and accelerating, shadows flickering against the walls of reality, and a sense that the linear progression of events is no longer absolute. The contrast between the predictable and the impossible sets the stage for an awe-inspiring, almost unsettling narrative. In this section, scientific observation and philosophical reflection intertwine. As researchers grapple with data that defies expectation, the audience is invited to consider the broader implications. If a particle can move independently of time, what does that mean for causality, for history, for the future? The paradox becomes a lens through which the fragility of human understanding is revealed, highlighting the limits of our perception and the audacity of nature's secrets. Cinematic storytelling emphasizes tension and wonder, alternating between moments of revelation and episodes of baffling uncertainty, keeping viewers emotionally engaged and intellectually intrigued. The narrative explores the particle's elusive behavior in vivid detail. It may appear to retroactively influence outcomes, or vanish before it is fully observed, leaving a trail of questions that cannot yet be answered. Every experiment, every theoretical model, seems to deepen the mystery, reinforcing the sense of encountering something both real and fundamentally alien. Contrast framing is used to maximum effect. The familiar rhythm of time in human life versus the particle's liberation from it, certainty versus ambiguity, observation versus enigma. The audience feels the tension of confronting a phenomenon that refuses to be neatly contained or explained. Philosophical implications deepen the emotional resonance. Time, we realize, may not be the absolute backdrop we assumed. It may be a construct, a perception shaped by consciousness, or merely one of many possible frameworks within which reality can unfold. The particle becomes a symbol of this uncertainty, a reminder that even the most fundamental rules of existence are subject to question. The section closes with a lingering sense of wonder and unease, leaving viewers on the edge of comprehension, aware that the universe is far more mysterious, and far more beautiful, than our current understanding can encompass. We now dive into the realm of theory, where imagination, mathematics, and philosophy collide to illuminate the particle's perplexing behavior. Here, scientific models are not just equations, they are vivid landscapes of possibility, mental constructs that attempt to map the unseeable. Imagine alternate dimensions folding over one another, temporal loops that twist past, present, and future into intricate knots, and quantum fields vibrating with hidden energy. Each theory offers a lens through which the particle might be glimpsed, yet none capture it fully. The contrast is striking. Human intellect, precise and methodical, striving to grasp something that seems to exist beyond the very concepts we rely upon to define reality. In this cinematic exploration, the audience is taken through competing theoretical frameworks. One model suggests the particle exists in a parallel temporal stream, brushing past our timeline without ever fully entering it. Another proposes a form of quantum superposition so profound that it allows the particle to exist in multiple states across time simultaneously. Each theory is illustrated with vivid imagery, shimmering corridors of alternate realities, particles weaving through unseen tunnels, and clocks stretching and warping like molten metal. These visualizations make abstract concepts tangible, drawing viewers into a universe where the impossible becomes plausible, if not fully comprehensible. The narrative emphasizes the tension between explanation and mystery. Every theory illuminates one aspect of the particle while simultaneously deepening the questions surrounding it. Scientists and philosophers debate not only the particle's mechanics but also the implications for our understanding of reality itself. Can the universe contain entities that operate outside our temporal framework? Do these anomalies hint at a broader, hidden order, or a chaotic freedom beyond comprehension? These questions are presented with emotional intensity, blending awe, curiosity, and an undercurrent of unease. Observation and theory intertwine, each feeding the other. As researchers attempt to align experimental results with conceptual models, they confront the limits of both measurement and imagination. The particle remains tantalizingly elusive, a specter at the edges of human understanding. The section closes on a cinematic note of suspended anticipation. The audience is left with a profound sense of mystery, aware that the particle challenges not only the laws of physics but also the very boundaries of thought, inviting us to reconsider what is possible in a universe far stranger and more intricate than we have ever dared to imagine. Observation becomes more than a scientific act. It transforms into a delicate, almost intimate dialogue between human consciousness and the hidden fabric of reality. Imagine a laboratory bathed in soft, flickering light, where instruments hum like living creatures, awaiting the particle's elusive signal. Every measurement, every fleeting detection, is a brush with the unknowable, a glimpse into a world that exists beyond conventional perception. Here, the act of watching is not passive. It shapes the phenomena itself as if reality bends subtly in response to attention. The contrast between human control and the particle's autonomous defiance heightens tension, creating a cinematic stage where uncertainty and wonder intermingle. In this section, we explore the paradox of observation. Quantum mechanics teaches that the very act of measuring can influence outcomes. Particles can appear, disappear, or behave differently depending on whether they are being observed. The particle that escapes time exemplifies this principle to an extreme, responding in ways that challenge the boundaries of causality. Vivid imagery conveys this subtle dance: detectors flickering with ghostly pulses, particle traces forming transient patterns like ephemeral brushstrokes, and instruments recording anomalies that defy explanation. The narrative invites viewers to feel the tension of witnessing something simultaneously tangible and elusive, real yet almost illusory. The emotional core of this section lies in human engagement. Scientists become protagonists in a story of suspense and revelation, their anticipation mirrored by the audience. Faces illuminated by monitors, hands hovering over controls, and whispered conversations capture the anxiety and exhilaration of confronting a reality that seems to resist comprehension. Contrast framing emphasizes the stakes: methodical human effort versus the particle's independent existence, predictable expectation versus unpredictable anomaly. Every failed observation and every fleeting detection deepens both suspense and awe. Philosophically, the section probes the nature of reality itself. If observation alters existence, if measurement and perception are entwined, what does it mean for something to truly exist? The particle becomes a symbol of the universe's subtle mysteries, challenging viewers to reconsider assumptions about permanence, presence, and the limits of knowledge. The section closes with a lingering tension, leaving the audience suspended in wonder, aware that the act of observation may bring them closer to truth, but never fully reveal the particle's secrets. The particle that escapes time presents an enigma that shakes the very foundations of physics, philosophy, and human understanding. Its discovery forces us to confront questions that have long hovered at the periphery of science. What is the nature of time? Can the boundaries between past, present, and future be traversed? How does human observation shape reality itself? In cinematic terms, this particle is not merely a subject of study. It is a character within the unfolding drama of the universe, moving with a grace and unpredictability that captures the imagination. Visualizations depict streams of energy weaving across invisible temporal landscapes, arcs of light folding and intersecting, and the particle itself shimmering as if carrying the essence of time within it. The narrative of Section 11 plunges the audience into this complex interplay of discovery, wonder, and philosophical reflection, blending empirical investigation with emotional resonance. To comprehend the magnitude of this particle, one must first consider its temporal anomalies. Unlike conventional matter, which progresses sequentially through time, this particle moves freely across moments, leaving traces in the past before it has been directly observed and appearing in locations unanticipated by conventional models. Its behavior defies classical Newtonian mechanics, challenges the relativistic spacetime continuum proposed by Einstein, and even stretches the probabilistic frameworks of quantum mechanics. Cinematic sequences dramatize these anomalies. Ribbons of energy arc unpredictably across abstract grids, timelines fold and converge, and patterns emerge and dissolve in ways that challenge both intuition and logic. The contrast between human expectation and the particle's autonomous motion heightens suspense, wonder, and intellectual engagement. Observation itself is transformed into a profound philosophical act. The particle appears to respond to observation in ways that ripple across past, present, and future events. This challenges the traditional scientific principle of objective measurement, suggesting instead that consciousness and observation may be inseparable from the reality being studied. Cinematic storytelling amplifies this concept. Researchers' eyes reflect the flux of energy data, hands hover over delicate instruments with both anticipation and caution, and simulations depict timelines bending and folding unpredictably. Audiences are drawn into the tension of exploration, feeling the stakes and exhilaration alongside the scientists as they confront phenomena that resist conventional understanding. Philosophical implications ripple outward. If a particle can traverse time and influence events retroactively, then human concepts of causality, choice, and memory are destabilized. Events may resonate backward and forward simultaneously, creating a network of interconnected possibilities that challenges linear perception. Cinematic visualizations illustrate these abstract concepts. Moments from the past overlay potential futures, threads of energy twist and coil through temporal lattices, and the particle glimmers as it navigates these multidimensional planes. The narrative provokes wonder, curiosity, and existential reflection, inviting the audience to reconsider the very nature of reality itself. Human experience remains central. Scientists grappling with this discovery experience intense emotional and cognitive responses. Awe, fear, exhilaration, and doubt intertwine as they confront phenomena that defy prediction. Faces illuminated by the soft glow of instrumentation reveal tension, anticipation, and wonder. Hands hover over controls with both precision and hesitation, while whispered conversations convey debate, excitement, and revelation. Cinematic pacing mirrors these dynamics, alternating between rapid sequences of experimental monitoring and slow, reflective moments, allowing audiences to feel the pressure, stakes, and thrill of discovery firsthand. Collaboration and conflict are integral to the unfolding story. Research teams interpret the particle's behavior differently, propose competing hypotheses, and challenge one another's assumptions. Some advocate radical theories suggesting retrocausal influences or multiple temporal dimensions. Others call for caution, emphasizing empirical rigor and the necessity of repeatable observation. Cinematic sequences portray this dynamic vividly. Animated discussions, gestures over complex diagrams, and rapid scribbling of equations are intercut with visualizations of the particle moving unpredictably across multidimensional temporal planes. The contrast between consensus and dissent mirrors the particle's dual nature, present yet elusive, predictable in some respects, yet fundamentally unknowable in others, heightening narrative tension and audience engagement. Experimental evidence increasingly points to the particle occupying superpositions across past, present, and future simultaneously. This implies a universe composed of intersecting temporal layers, where events interweave in a complex lattice. Cinematic sequences visualize these layers as translucent waves folding and interacting, with energy pulses bridging disparate temporal planes. The particle moves with fluidity and autonomy through this multidimensional structure, creating a sense of vertigo and awe in viewers. The narrative emphasizes the tension between clarity and ambiguity, order and chaos, inviting audiences to contemplate a reality far beyond conventional understanding. Psychological and ethical dimensions deepen. Scientists confront the responsibility of studying an entity that defies time itself. Every experiment carries potential consequences not just for knowledge, but for philosophy, ethics, and human understanding. Cinematic imagery reinforces these stakes. Solitary researchers in dimly lit laboratories, their eyes focused intently on fluctuating data, hands poised over delicate instruments, embody both exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative underscores that exploration and discovery are inseparable from ethical reflection, highlighting the profound human responsibility inherent in interacting with forces that challenge the foundations of reality. Historical and cultural perspectives enrich the narrative. Humanity's fascination with time stretches across millennia, from mythologies depicting gods who traverse past and future, to philosophical inquiry into causality, to modern speculative fiction exploring alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these enduring curiosities, providing a tangible manifestation of concepts that have long inspired wonder. Cinematic sequences blend historical imagery with contemporary experimentation. Ancient astronomical charts, philosophical manuscripts, and the glow of modern laboratories coalesce, forming a visual bridge between humanity's timeless fascination with time and the frontier of contemporary scientific discovery. Despite significant advances in understanding, the particle remains elusive. Every observation generates new questions, and each pattern discovered hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic sequences alternate between high-intensity experimental monitoring and contemplative reflection, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotional response. Audiences experience the exhilaration, tension, and awe shared by scientists, appreciating the particle not only as a scientific marvel but as a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the universe continually challenges human perception, imagination, and comprehension. Theoretical implications continue to expand. Could this particle act as a bridge between quantum mechanics and relativity, revealing a unified theory of the universe? Might it illuminate hidden dimensions or mechanisms beyond current scientific models? Cinematic visualizations explore these possibilities. Energy waves ripple across multidimensional spaces, timelines fold and intersect, and the particle navigates this complexity with fluid autonomy. Audiences are invited to imagine a universe both intelligible and infinitely mysterious, where the limits of comprehension are continually tested and expanded. Emotional stakes intensify as researchers grapple with the unknown. Doubt, fatigue, and existential uncertainty weigh heavily. Some fear misinterpretation, unintended consequences, or the ramifications of interacting with a particle that defies time. Others are propelled by exhilaration, drawn to the possibility of understanding a phenomenon that could redefine humanity's perception of reality. Cinematic contrasts emphasize these emotional dynamics. Reflective, meditative sequences juxtapose rapid, high-intensity experimental monitoring, highlighting the tension between uncertainty and insight. Audiences engage both intellectually and emotionally with the scientist's journey. The particle suggests that reality is participatory, dynamic, and interconnected. Its freedom from temporal constraints implies that events, observation, and consciousness may interact in ways that were previously unimaginable. Cinematic imagery conveys this. Threads of temporal potential shimmer across cosmic landscapes, overlapping timelines create intricate lattices, and the particle moves fluidly among them. Viewers are immersed in a universe that defies linear perception, evoking awe, humility, and intellectual curiosity. Finally, Section 11 culminates with reflection, tension, and anticipation. The particle remains enigmatic, yet its impact on human understanding is profound. Curiosity, fear, hope, and wonder intertwine, forming a rich tapestry of human and scientific experience. Audiences are left with lingering questions. If time is fluid, how do memory, choice, and destiny reshape themselves? How should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination in a universe that exceeds comprehension? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic panorama, threads of temporal energy stretching across infinite space, the particle glinting like a solitary star against the vast darkness. Awe, suspense, and curiosity persist, leaving the audience poised for the next stage of exploration. The particle becomes both a scientific marvel and a philosophical symbol of humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding in a universe that remains infinitely mysterious, a testament to intellect, courage, and imagination. We now turn to the human dimension of this extraordinary discovery, where intellect, curiosity, and emotion collide in the crucible of scientific pursuit. The particle that defies time is no longer an abstract anomaly, it has become a living challenge, a puzzle that tests the very limits of comprehension, a phenomenon that stretches the imagination while defying conventional understanding. In dimly lit laboratories across the world, researchers become both witnesses and participants in a story that transcends standard scientific inquiry. Faces are etched with tension and exhilaration. Hands hover over complex instruments, adjusting knobs, calibrating sensors, and monitoring graphs that shift and flicker in unpredictable rhythms. Minds race to interpret signals that appear momentarily, then vanish as if deliberately teasing the human intellect. Every experiment carries immense weight. Every anomaly, every fleeting detection, is a potential revelation, and simultaneously, a reminder of how much remains unknown. The contrast between human determination and the particle's elusiveness amplifies suspense, drawing viewers deeply into an emotional narrative as vivid as any cinematic drama. Scientists grapple with the particle's paradoxical behavior, confronting phenomena that challenge not only equations but intuition itself. It is as though the particle possesses an intelligence of its own, slipping through temporal nets, defying measurement, and revealing gaps in understanding that no existing theory can yet bridge. Nights stretch into days as researchers pore over data, chasing traces that disappear the instant they seem within reach. Each experiment becomes a delicate dance between anticipation and frustration, where a single observation may unlock profound insight or deepen perplexity. Emotional stakes rise alongside scientific ones. The excitement of potential discovery mingles with the creeping frustration of near misses, and the looming fear that answers may lie forever beyond grasp. Through cinematic imagery, the audience can visualize this tension. Monitors flicker with ghostly pulses, lasers carve invisible pathways through the laboratory, and particles leave transient, almost ethereal traces, hinting at realities beyond human perception. The human struggle is not merely intellectual, it is profoundly psychological. Obsession takes root as researchers wrestle with the possibility that this particle may upend fundamental understanding of the universe. Some become consumed, isolating themselves in pursuit of knowledge, their lives narrowing to the rhythm of calculations, simulations, and painstaking observations. Others experience doubt, haunted by the fear of misinterpretation or error, aware that a single misstep could render months of work meaningless. Relationships strain under the weight of obsession, personal ambitions intertwine with professional reputations, and the intensity of the pursuit bleeds into every aspect of life. The narrative contrasts hope and fear, illustrating how the pursuit of knowledge can inspire both brilliance and torment. Emotional engagement intensifies as viewers witness the very human cost of grappling with something beyond comprehension, a reminder that science is never purely objective, but always entwined with human vulnerability and perseverance. Cinematic storytelling brings these internal struggles to life. Visual metaphors depict minds stretching to their limits, neurons firing like lightning across the brain, equations cascading across screens like waterfalls, and shadows of doubt flickering across faces as realization and frustration alternate in rapid succession. The particle itself becomes a silent character in this drama, shaping human behavior, decisions, and emotions through its mere existence. Every failed observation, every fleeting detection, deepens suspense and awe simultaneously. Viewers are drawn into a dual narrative, the tangible experiments unfolding in the lab and the intangible, psychological landscape of obsession, hope, and fear. The particle's elusiveness mirrors the inner struggles of those who chase it, creating a story where science and emotion are inseparable. Beyond individual experiences, the section explores collaboration and conflict within the scientific community. Debates ignite as researchers interpret anomalies differently, proposing competing theories and challenging one another's assumptions. Intellectual clashes play out with passion and intensity. Some advocate for radical reinterpretations of time, while others cling to conventional frameworks, unwilling to abandon the structures that have guided science for centuries. The contrast between consensus and dissent highlights the dynamic tension of discovery. Science is not a linear progression but a conversation, a struggle of ideas, egos, and imagination. Emotional engagement peaks as the audience witnesses both the exhilaration of shared insight and the frustration of misunderstanding, the push and pull of collective human endeavor, and the delicate balance between cooperation and rivalry that shapes progress. In parallel, the narrative emphasizes the particle's role as a philosophical provocateur. Its existence challenges the very concepts that underpin human experience: causality, temporality, and the perceived linearity of life. Scientists, despite their training and intellect, must confront the limits of reason and the necessity of imagination. Every fleeting glimpse of the particle raises existential questions. If time can be bent or transcended, what becomes of memory, responsibility, and the notion of destiny itself? These reflections deepen the emotional resonance, allowing viewers to empathize with researchers wrestling not only with data, but with the profound implications for understanding reality itself. The particle becomes both a mirror and a muse, reflecting the fragility of human knowledge while inspiring curiosity and wonder. The narrative also explores moments of exhilaration and serendipity within the lab. Occasionally, a detector picks up an unexpected signal, or an experiment produces results that hint at patterns previously unnoticed. These breakthroughs are celebrated with quiet reverence, often occurring in the early hours of the morning when the world outside is still, and the lab becomes a sacred space of discovery. Cinematic imagery emphasizes these moments. Graphs glowing like constellations, particles flaring briefly on monitors like fleeting stars, and the faces of scientists illuminated by the pale, ethereal light of revelation. Each instance reinforces the idea that the pursuit of knowledge is not merely technical, but a profoundly human adventure, imbued with emotion, risk, and the thrill of touching something greater than oneself. Yet, alongside excitement, tension builds. Not every experiment succeeds. Some yield confounding results that seem to contradict previous observations. The particle's behavior appears to mock human effort, resisting categorization and measurement, and reminding observers of the limits of control. Emotional stakes remain high as anticipation battles frustration, and hope vies with despair. The section emphasizes that in science, progress is rarely linear. Discovery is an unpredictable journey filled with both fleeting triumphs and prolonged uncertainty. The cinematic tension mirrors this dynamic, with sequences of rapid experimental activity contrasted against moments of silent reflection, highlighting the oscillation between action and contemplation, insight and doubt. The human journey also underscores the moral and philosophical responsibilities inherent in discovery. As scientists push boundaries, they must consider the implications of their findings. Could understanding, or even manipulating, a particle outside time alter reality in unforeseen ways? Could technological applications of such knowledge carry risk, or even danger? These questions weigh heavily on the minds of the researchers, adding layers of tension and reflection that elevate the narrative beyond mere observation. The particle's elusiveness becomes a catalyst for introspection, challenging both individuals and humanity as a whole to confront the ethical dimensions of profound discovery. Viewers are drawn into this human drama, feeling the suspense, anticipation, and occasional despair that accompany the pursuit of the impossible. Cinematic techniques, slow-motion depictions of experiments, close-ups on contemplative faces, visualizations of abstract quantum behavior, immerse audiences in a world where intellect, emotion, and mystery converge. By highlighting the human side of discovery, this section transforms abstract science into a story of courage, curiosity, and resilience. The particle's elusiveness is no longer just a scientific puzzle. It becomes a mirror for human ambition, imagination, and vulnerability, illustrating that the pursuit of understanding is as much about confronting the self as it is about exploring the universe. Finally, the narrative leaves viewers poised on the edge of revelation. The particle remains tantalizingly elusive, yet its impact on those who seek it is profound. Hope and fear, excitement and doubt, triumph and frustration intertwine, creating a tapestry of human experience that mirrors the complexity of the particle itself. The audience is invited to empathize with the scientist's struggles, to marvel at the intricate interplay between curiosity and discovery, and to recognize that the journey of understanding is as emotionally compelling as the knowledge it seeks to uncover. By the end of this section, the particle is no longer merely a subatomic anomaly, it is a catalyst for human reflection, a symbol of relentless curiosity, and a testament to the courage required to pursue truth in a universe that refuses to be fully known. Time, as humans perceive it, has always been a fixed, unyielding dimension. It flows forward like a river, constant and impartial, carrying moments in a linear progression from past to present to future. We structure our lives around it, measure it with instruments, and anchor our memories and expectations within its continuum. Yet the discovery of a particle that seems to exist outside of this flow forces us to reconsider everything we take for granted. What if time is not a fixed backdrop to reality, but a malleable, dynamic construct? What if the boundaries between past, present, and future are far more fluid than the tick of a clock suggests? This section delves deeply into the concept of temporal illusion, blending cinematic imagery, scientific exploration, and philosophical reflection to challenge our understanding of existence itself. We begin with the familiar, grounding the audience in the world as they know it, the predictable rhythm of day and night, the inevitability of seasons, the reliable unfolding of human history. Clocks tick steadily, calendars turn predictably, and cause and effect seem absolute. Yet, through cinematic visualization, these certainties begin to dissolve. Time is depicted not as a straight line but as a vast, flexible web, threads interweaving, looping, and folding upon themselves. Shadows of past events flicker beside potential futures, hinting at realities that coexist, layered upon one another, unseen yet influential. The particle that escapes time is introduced within this visual metaphor, moving freely through these threads, unconstrained by linear progression, challenging the very logic that frames human understanding. In laboratories around the world, experiments designed to observe and measure the particle reveal behaviors that seem almost surreal. Detectors pick up signals that appear to originate from the past or the future, as if the particle communicates across temporal boundaries. Graphs fluctuate in patterns that defy conventional causality, and instruments respond to events that have not yet occurred. Cinematic imagery amplifies these anomalies. Particles shimmer and blur, timelines bend and fracture, and flashes of energy leap across space in a manner that seems to mock human expectation. The narrative emphasizes contrast, the meticulous, methodical efforts of scientists seeking certainty versus the particle's inherent defiance of predictability. This interplay between control and chaos deepens both suspense and wonder, keeping viewers fully engaged. The philosophical implications of temporal illusion are profound. If time is not absolute, then memory, choice, and experience may be far less stable than we imagine. The particle's behavior forces us to question whether the past is immutable, whether the future is predetermined, or whether both are simply constructs filtered through perception. Cinematic metaphors evoke corridors that stretch endlessly, looping back on themselves, where events replay with subtle variations, and every choice creates divergent pathways simultaneously. Viewers are invited to feel the disorientation and awe of contemplating a reality where the linear narrative of life is an illusion, and where causality itself may be contingent, fluid, and context-dependent. Human consciousness, intimately bound to time, becomes a lens through which the particle's existence is both revealed and obscured. The act of observation is no longer neutral. It may influence outcomes, collapse probabilities, and define the particle's apparent behavior. The narrative uses vivid imagery, scientists' eyes reflecting shifting patterns of energy, hands hovering over instruments as if poised to catch fleeting glimpses of a hidden truth, and mental projections that visualize the particle traversing a temporal landscape inaccessible to ordinary perception. The audience is drawn into the tension of witnessing phenomena that defy intuition, experiencing both the thrill of insight and the frustration of incompleteness. Historical and philosophical context enriches the exploration. Thinkers from centuries past, philosophers, mathematicians, and early physicists, have long speculated on the nature of time, from Newton's absolute clockwork universe to Einstein's relativistic conception, where time bends and warps with mass and motion. Yet even these revolutionary insights may be incomplete in the face of a particle that moves entirely outside conventional temporal constraints. Cinematic storytelling juxtaposes historical reflection with modern experimentation. Aged manuscripts, sketches of theoretical models, and portraits of visionaries fade into the glowing screens of contemporary laboratories. This contrast highlights the continuum of human curiosity, linking past speculation with present discovery, and underscoring the enduring tension between understanding and mystery. The narrative also emphasizes emotional resonance. As researchers confront the particle, they are forced to grapple not only with scientific complexity but with the unsettling implications for human perception and experience. The particle's defiance of time evokes wonder, fear, and profound curiosity. Emotional language underscores the tension between the comforting predictability of familiar reality and the exhilarating terror of encountering something entirely unbound. Scenes unfold with cinematic pacing. Slow, contemplative shots of scientists lost in thought alternate with rapid sequences of experimental breakthroughs, data spikes, and moments of intuitive insight. The audience is carried along this rhythm, mirroring the scientist's own oscillation between awe and uncertainty. Moreover, the section explores the cultural and psychological dimensions of temporal illusion. Myths, literature, and art across civilizations have long grappled with the fluidity of time, from the cyclical myths of ancient cultures to modern narratives of parallel universes and time travel. The particle's existence resonates with these archetypal motifs, linking scientific observation to deep human fascination with the impossible. Cinematic sequences visualize this connection. Echoes of historical depictions of time, hourglasses, sundials, celestial charts, blend seamlessly with high-tech visualizations of quantum fields and particle tracks. This creates a narrative continuity that bridges imagination and empirical investigation, reinforcing the emotional impact of the discovery. The section also examines the collaborative and individual human response to the particle's temporal anomalies. Teams of researchers engage in complex discussions, hypothesizing, challenging, and refining interpretations of data. Individual scientists experience moments of solitary reflection, sitting quietly in dimly lit rooms, contemplating the vast implications of their observations. The contrast between collaborative debate and introspective meditation highlights the multifaceted nature of scientific pursuit, where intellectual rigor is inseparable from imagination, intuition, and emotional resilience. Viewers are invited to empathize with these human experiences, sensing the stakes and emotional investment inherent in confronting a phenomenon that transcends comprehension. Experiments designed to probe temporal effects yield results that are both astonishing and confounding. Particles appear to respond to measurements made after their initial detection, as if aware of future observation. Waves of energy shimmer in ways that suggest interactions across multiple points in time simultaneously. Visualizations depict these phenomena with cinematic grandeur, twisting spirals of light, temporal waves rippling across invisible planes, and spectral traces of particles moving backward and forward along hypothetical timelines. The audience experiences the thrill of witnessing a universe where time is not linear, where cause and effect can bend, and where the particle embodies the ultimate paradox of existence. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. If the particle demonstrates that time is fluid, then reality itself becomes a participatory construct, dependent on observation, consciousness, and perhaps even choice. Memory may be unreliable, the sequence of events uncertain, and human perception limited to a narrow slice of a far richer temporal tapestry. Emotional language emphasizes the duality of wonder and unease. Viewers are inspired by the elegance and mystery of the universe, yet confronted with the profound implications for human understanding. The particle acts as both teacher and provocateur, revealing the beauty of the unknown while challenging assumptions that have long guided human thought. The narrative also emphasizes the aesthetic and cinematic potential of temporal illusion. Slow-motion sequences depict events repeating with subtle variations, overlapping in complex, mesmerizing patterns. Laboratory lights pulse in synchrony with energy waves, visualizing the particle's movement through time. Shadows stretch and contract, clocks distort, and scenes of everyday life, falling leaves, flowing rivers, and passing pedestrians, are intercut with abstract visualizations of temporal folding and quantum fluctuations. These techniques immerse the audience in the sensory and emotional experience of a universe unbound by linear time, reinforcing both intellectual engagement and visceral wonder. As the section unfolds, tension rises. Researchers confront paradoxes that challenge both theory and intuition. Every experimental observation carries ambiguity, every hypothesis must be tested against phenomena that resist classification. The particle remains tantalizingly elusive, yet its presence is undeniable. Cinematic contrasts underscore this tension. The sterile precision of instruments against the chaos of quantum uncertainty, the stability of human expectation against the particle's liberation, and the comfort of known laws against the seductive mystery of the unknown. The audience is drawn into this interplay, feeling both the exhilaration of discovery and the subtle anxiety of confronting the limits of comprehension. Finally, the section closes with reflection and anticipation. The particle's behavior suggests that time may be less a rigid framework and more a flexible, participatory phenomenon. The implications extend beyond science to philosophy, psychology, and the human experience itself. Viewers are left with lingering questions. If time is not absolute, how should humans perceive causality, choice, and memory? What does it mean for existence if moments can overlap, influence one another, and transcend conventional order? The cinematic narrative ensures that awe, curiosity, and suspense persist, leaving the audience poised for the next stage of exploration into the particle's mysteries. The particle's defiance of temporal constraints becomes a lens through which humanity can re-examine its place in the universe, a reminder that the known and unknown coexist in delicate tension, and that every discovery opens the door to yet more profound questions. The particle's defiance of time opens a doorway into the deepest mysteries of the universe, where reality itself seems to shift under the weight of observation and speculation. To the untrained eye, it is merely a subatomic anomaly, a flicker on a detector that disappears before it can be fully captured. Yet for those who study it, the particle represents a revelation of unimaginable scope, a challenge to the assumptions upon which human understanding is built. Imagine a realm where moments do not follow one another in a predictable sequence, where the past and future are intertwined in invisible threads, and where an entity can move freely across this continuum, unaffected by the flow that governs all other matter. Cinematic imagery renders this reality in staggering detail. Waves of energy shimmer like liquid light, timelines bend and twist like ribbons caught in a current, and the particle glides through the void, untouchable yet undeniably present. In this section, we explore the profound implications of a particle that transcends temporal constraints. The scientific stakes are extraordinary. Every theory of physics, from classical mechanics to relativity to quantum theory, is rooted in time as a fundamental parameter. Causality, the principle that causes precede effects, is foundational, the scaffolding upon which centuries of discovery have been built. Yet here, this particle seems to exist outside such scaffolding, moving as if liberated from the chains that bind all other matter. Every experiment confirms its anomaly. Measurements suggest interactions with moments that have yet to occur, traces appear before the particle is expected to arrive, and data fluctuates in ways that defy conventional probability. The contrast is stark and cinematic. Human instruments, precise and deliberate, attempting to capture the particle's fleeting signature, against the particle's ghostly, autonomous behavior, defying comprehension and challenging intellect. The narrative emphasizes the tension between observation and impossibility. In laboratories around the globe, teams of scientists engage in a meticulous ballet of detection and analysis. Instruments hum and blink in synchronized rhythm, lasers trace invisible paths through evacuated chambers, and supercooled detectors await the faintest whisper of interaction. Yet no matter the precision, the particle evades complete capture. It appears in one location, vanishes in the next, and sometimes seems to influence outcomes retroactively. Cinematic visualizations depict these phenomena, particles leaving trails that shimmer and bend, graphs oscillating in impossible patterns, and bursts of energy that illuminate the lab like fleeting starlight. The viewer is immersed in the tension of human ingenuity confronting an entity that seems almost sentient, aware of attempts to observe and measuring itself against the boundaries of the possible. Philosophical considerations deepen the narrative. If a particle can escape the flow of time, the consequences ripple far beyond physics. Memory, causality, and perception, the very foundation of human experience, are cast into question. What does it mean for events to have occurred if something can exist outside the sequence that defines them? Can choices made in the present be influenced by a future yet to unfold? The particle becomes a symbol of these uncertainties, a tangible manifestation of the abstract paradoxes that have fascinated philosophers for millennia. Cinematic storytelling enhances these reflections, intercutting laboratory observations with visual metaphors, rivers flowing backward, clocks melting and reforming, shadows stretching across timelines, and cosmic vistas where events ripple across space and time in patterns both mesmerizing and incomprehensible. The emotional stakes are equally profound. Scientists experience exhilaration tempered with profound uncertainty. Faces illuminated by screens, hands trembling over controls, and whispered conversations convey the weight of discovery. Every fleeting detection offers both triumph and frustration. Moments of insight are punctuated by waves of doubt. Could the particle be an artifact, a misreading, or an error? Or is it genuinely revealing a facet of reality that human perception and theory have yet to comprehend? Cinematic pacing mirrors these emotional oscillations, alternating between rapid sequences of experimental intensity and contemplative shots of scientists reflecting on the magnitude of what they are witnessing. The audience feels the tension, awe, and anticipation as if sharing the experience with those at the frontiers of knowledge. The particle's behavior forces a re-evaluation of fundamental concepts in physics. Einstein's relativity, which linked space and time into a unified continuum, suggested that time could bend in the presence of mass and energy. Quantum mechanics revealed a probabilistic universe at microscopic scales. Yet this particle pushes even these revolutionary frameworks to their limits. It suggests the possibility of phenomena entirely beyond linear time, where probabilities are influenced not only by present conditions but also by future interactions. The narrative uses cinematic imagery to convey this, glowing threads of temporal energy twisting through abstract space, particles interacting across invisible connections, and simulations depicting timelines folding over themselves in elegant, impossible patterns. Viewers are invited to witness a reality that challenges intuition, where scientific imagination stretches to encompass phenomena that defy conventional logic. Collaboration and conflict among scientists amplify the drama. Teams engage in heated debates, analyzing data, proposing hypotheses, and challenging one another's interpretations. Some advocate for radical new models of time and reality, while others insist on adhering to established frameworks, wary of overreach. These intellectual clashes are rich in cinematic potential. Close-ups of intense discussion, hands gesturing over diagrams, and rapid sequences of calculation intercut with shots of the particle's elusive signals. The contrast between certainty and ambiguity, agreement and dissent, mirrors the duality of the particle itself, visible yet elusive, predictable in some ways yet fundamentally unknowable in others. As experiments continue, patterns emerge that suggest the particle's interaction with multiple temporal states. Observations indicate that it may exist in superposition not only spatially but temporally, occupying potential pasts and futures simultaneously. This raises staggering philosophical questions. Is the particle shaping time, or is it a manifestation of a hidden structure already present within it? Could the universe itself be layered in ways humans have never imagined, with events and outcomes overlapping, interweaving, and influencing one another across invisible threads? Cinematic depictions enhance these ideas. Translucent layers of alternate timelines, energy pulses weaving across multiple dimensions, and simulations showing events cascading forward and backward like waves across a boundless ocean. The audience is drawn into a sense of both wonder and vertigo, contemplating a reality that transcends conventional perception. The section also explores the psychological and ethical dimensions of these discoveries. Researchers confront the possibility that manipulating or observing such a particle could have unforeseen consequences. Every decision carries weight, every experiment holds potential risk. Emotional tension is heightened as scientists balance curiosity with caution, excitement with responsibility. Cinematic imagery portrays this inner struggle. Solitary figures bathed in pale light, hands hovering over complex instruments, eyes fixed on fluctuating data as thoughts flicker between exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative emphasizes that discovery is not purely technical. It is deeply human, entwined with emotion, judgment, and imagination. Cultural and historical context further enriches understanding. Humanity has long imagined phenomena that transcend time, from mythological tales of gods who move outside mortal constraints to literature exploring alternate realities and temporal paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypes in tangible form, bridging the gap between imagination and empirical reality. Cinematic sequences juxtapose historical imagery, ancient manuscripts, sundials, celestial charts, with modern laboratories and quantum simulations, reinforcing the timeless human fascination with the nature of existence. Viewers sense the continuity of curiosity, realizing that the particle is part of a larger story that spans generations, cultures, and disciplines. Despite the growing understanding, the particle remains stubbornly elusive. Each breakthrough opens new questions, each observed pattern hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic tension is sustained through alternating sequences, rapid experimental activity intercut with contemplative shots of reflection, data flickering alongside visualizations of temporal distortion, and moments of human triumph counterbalanced by the particle's persistent ambiguity. The audience is drawn into this rhythm, experiencing the exhilaration and uncertainty as if they are part of the scientific quest itself. Finally, the section closes with profound anticipation. The particle's behavior suggests that time is not an absolute, immutable dimension but a fluid, participatory framework. It challenges assumptions about causality, perception, and existence itself. Viewers are left with lingering questions. If time can be traversed, reshaped, or transcended, what does that mean for human understanding, for choice, for destiny? Cinematic imagery fades into a vast cosmic panorama, threads of temporal energy shimmering across space, the particle glinting like a solitary star in a sea of uncertainty. The narrative ensures awe, curiosity, and suspense persist, preparing the audience for the next stage of exploration. The particle's defiance of time becomes a lens through which humanity re-examines its place in the universe, a reminder that knowledge is both a pursuit and a journey into the unknown, and that every discovery opens the door to even greater mysteries. The particle that escapes time is more than a scientific anomaly, it is a window into the very architecture of reality, a whisper of the universe's hidden mechanisms. As its elusive presence is tracked across experiments, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary particle. It defies the conventional flow of time, slipping between moments, appearing before it is measured, and leaving traces that suggest a profound connection between past, present, and future. Cinematic imagery frames this phenomenon with staggering clarity. Waves of light shimmer in patterns that ripple across invisible timelines, particles leave fleeting trails that twist and bend like ribbons caught in an unseen current, and the laboratory itself is illuminated by the soft, ethereal glow of discovery. This section immerses viewers in the particle's paradoxical nature, exploring its implications not only for physics but for human perception, philosophy, and the very essence of existence. To understand the magnitude of this discovery, we first consider the scientific context. Classical physics assumes that events occur in a linear sequence, that causes precede effects, and that time is a fixed dimension that applies universally. Einstein's theory of relativity introduced flexibility, showing that time can bend and stretch under extreme conditions of gravity and motion. Quantum mechanics revealed a probabilistic universe, where uncertainty governs the behavior of particles at microscopic scales. Yet the particle that escapes time transcends even these revolutionary frameworks. It behaves as if free from the constraints that govern all other matter, interacting across temporal boundaries and challenging the very notion of causality. Cinematic visualizations depict these interactions with dazzling effect. Energy arcs fold across space, timelines intertwine like strands of silk, and the particle navigates these invisible corridors with an ease that defies comprehension. The audience is drawn into a universe that is simultaneously elegant and profoundly unsettling. The narrative emphasizes the interplay between observation and paradox. In laboratories around the world, scientists meticulously attempt to capture the particle's behavior. Instruments hum with precision, detectors pulse with sensitivity, and experiments unfold like choreographed performances. Yet the particle resists full capture. Sometimes it appears to interact with measurements made after its initial detection. Other times it seems to influence outcomes in ways that defy prediction. Cinematic imagery heightens this tension. Graphs oscillate like living organisms, flashes of energy illuminate instruments as if they are reacting to a hidden intelligence, and the particle itself is represented as a ghostly presence, moving freely through temporal and spatial dimensions. The contrast between human effort and the particle's autonomy underscores both the challenge and the awe-inspiring wonder of this discovery. Philosophical implications emerge with intensity. If the particle can move outside the normal flow of time, then memory, experience, and choice may not be as fixed as humans have assumed. The particle becomes a lens through which fundamental questions arise. Is the past immutable? Can the future influence the present? Are moments in life as linear as we perceive, or do they exist in overlapping layers, coexisting in ways that elude ordinary perception? Cinematic sequences depict these ideas visually. Events replay in loops, shadows of past actions flicker beside potential futures, and temporal threads twist and fold, creating a complex tapestry that challenges conventional intuition. The audience experiences the disorientation, awe, and deep curiosity of contemplating a universe where the familiar rules of time are no longer absolute. Human experience is central to this exploration. Scientists working with the particle are engaged in a struggle that is intellectual, emotional, and psychological. Faces illuminated by monitors reflect a mixture of wonder, tension, and exhaustion. Hands hover over controls, ready to adjust instruments at the slightest anomaly. Minds race to interpret data, balancing probability, theory, and intuition. Cinematic storytelling captures these human elements. Slow-motion shots of thoughtful contemplation alternate with rapid sequences of experimental activity, while visualizations of particle behavior underscore the stakes and the extraordinary nature of the phenomenon. The narrative emphasizes that discovery is not purely technical. It is deeply human, entwined with emotion, intuition, and the relentless drive to comprehend the incomprehensible. Collaboration and intellectual conflict play a significant role. Teams of researchers debate interpretations of the particle's behavior, proposing competing theories and challenging one another's assumptions. Some advocate for radical models of time, suggesting the existence of multiple temporal streams or the possibility of retrocausal effects. Others insist on rigorous adherence to conventional frameworks, skeptical of conclusions that defy centuries of established knowledge. Cinematic sequences dramatize these debates. Gestures over diagrams, rapid scribbling of equations, and animated discussions intercut with visualizations of the particle's elusive movements. The contrast between agreement and dissent mirrors the duality of the particle itself, tangible yet elusive, predictable in some respects yet fundamentally unknowable in others. Experiments reveal the particle may occupy multiple temporal states simultaneously, existing in superpositions that span past, present, and future. This behavior challenges the very concept of linear observation. Visualizations depict layers of temporal reality overlapping like translucent sheets, with the particle moving freely between them. Energy pulses ripple across these layers, hinting at hidden structures and interactions beyond current comprehension. The audience is invited to experience the vertigo of confronting a universe where causality is not guaranteed, where events may influence one another across time, and where human perception captures only a narrow slice of a far more complex reality. The narrative underscores the tension between the desire for certainty and the inevitability of ambiguity, heightening emotional engagement. Psychological and ethical dimensions are interwoven into the story. Researchers confront questions of responsibility, considering the implications of manipulating or even observing a particle that defies temporal constraints. Each experiment carries potential consequences, not only for scientific understanding but for broader philosophical and ethical considerations. Cinematic imagery conveys this tension. Solitary figures bathed in the soft glow of instrumentation, eyes fixed on screens as thoughts flicker between exhilaration and apprehension, reflecting the weight of discovery and the responsibility inherent in confronting the unknown. The narrative emphasizes that exploration is inseparable from ethical reflection, highlighting the human stakes in understanding phenomena that may reshape the foundations of reality. Cultural and historical context enriches the narrative. Humanity has long been fascinated by time, from ancient myths depicting gods who traverse past and future to modern science fiction exploring alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypes, providing a tangible manifestation of ideas that have inspired curiosity for millennia. Cinematic sequences weave historical imagery, ancient hourglasses, celestial charts, and philosophical manuscripts into scenes of modern laboratories, quantum simulations, and particle detection. This connection underscores the continuity of human inquiry, linking imagination, observation, and experimentation across generations, and reinforcing the profound resonance of the particle's discovery. Despite growing understanding, the particle remains elusive. Every observation produces new questions, and every pattern hints at deeper mysteries. The cinematic narrative sustains tension through alternating sequences of high-intensity experimentation and reflective moments, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotional responses. The audience experiences exhilaration and uncertainty, sharing the scientist's journey into the unknown. The particle's elusiveness is both frustrating and inspiring, illustrating the limits of comprehension while inviting imaginative engagement and wonder. The narrative further explores theoretical implications. Could this particle provide insight into the unification of quantum mechanics and relativity? Might it suggest new dimensions, hidden structures of the universe, or mechanisms that transcend human perception? Cinematic visualizations depict theoretical models in motion. Quantum fields ripple and fold, timelines bend and intersect, and energy pulses trace intricate patterns across an invisible architecture of reality. These sequences immerse viewers in complex concepts without sacrificing clarity, transforming abstract scientific ideas into cinematic experiences that evoke both awe and intellectual engagement. Emotional stakes continue to rise. Researchers face moments of doubt, fatigue, and existential questioning. Some fear misinterpretation or unintended consequences. Others are driven by the exhilaration of proximity to a discovery that could reshape human understanding. Cinematic sequences emphasize these dualities. The solitary contemplation of a scientist late at night contrasts with the collaborative excitement of breakthrough, the uncertainty of data juxtaposed with flashes of clarity. Through these visual and narrative contrasts, viewers are invited to empathize with the emotional weight of discovery and to appreciate the deeply human dimension of scientific exploration. The particle's behavior invites contemplation of the universe as a living, dynamic system. Its freedom from temporal constraints suggests that reality may not be rigid, but a fluid interplay of possibility, observation, and consciousness. Cinematic sequences depict this concept visually. Shimmering waves of potentiality ripple across cosmic vistas, temporal threads weave and overlap, and the particle traverses these landscapes like a guide through unseen realms. The audience is drawn into the poetic beauty of this vision, experiencing a profound sense of both wonder and humility in the face of a universe more complex and mysterious than previously imagined. Finally, the section closes with anticipation and reflection. The particle remains elusive, yet its impact on human understanding is undeniable. Hope and fear, curiosity and caution, triumph and uncertainty intertwine in a rich tapestry of experience. Viewers are left with lingering questions. If time is not fixed, what does this mean for choice, memory, and destiny? If reality is more malleable than previously believed, how should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic perspective, with threads of temporal energy stretching across space, the particle glinting like a solitary star in an infinite expanse. The narrative ensures that awe, suspense, and curiosity persist, leaving the audience poised for the next stage of exploration. The particle becomes a symbol not only of scientific mystery but of humanity's endless pursuit of understanding in a universe that refuses to be fully known. The discovery of a particle that escapes the flow of time is more than a scientific breakthrough. It is a challenge to the very foundations of human understanding. For centuries, humanity has conceived of time as a constant, a river flowing inexorably from past to present to future. Our lives, our histories, and even our scientific laws are structured around this assumption. Yet this particle, elusive and enigmatic, threatens to unravel that certainty, suggesting a universe far more complex, layered, and fluid than ever imagined. Cinematic imagery frames this concept in vivid, tangible ways. Streams of light bending and twisting across invisible dimensions, particles flickering like fleeting stars against a backdrop of dark space, and laboratories glowing softly with the ethereal pulse of discovery. The narrative draws the audience into an experience that is both intellectual and profoundly emotional, emphasizing the tension between human comprehension and the mysteries of the universe. We begin by exploring the particle's unique properties in detail. Unlike ordinary matter, which moves predictably through time and space, this particle seems unbound by linear progression. It can appear in locations before or after it is expected, influence events retroactively, and exist in multiple temporal states simultaneously. The implications are staggering. Conventional theories of causality, probability, and temporal mechanics are insufficient to describe its behavior. Cinematic sequences depict these phenomena as dynamic, almost alive, trails of energy twisting through three-dimensional grids of light, graphs oscillating with strange, unrepeatable patterns, and sequences where moments of laboratory observation overlap with potential futures and pasts, creating a tapestry of events that defies comprehension. The particle is no longer an object of measurement alone. It is a catalyst for reimagining the architecture of reality itself. The narrative emphasizes the interplay between scientific rigor and human imagination. Researchers are confronted with phenomena that defy conventional explanation. Some respond with meticulous calculation, attempting to model the particle's behavior using advanced mathematics and cutting-edge technology. Others rely on intuition, considering the possibility that human perception and conventional logic may be insufficient to fully grasp the particle's nature. Cinematic storytelling dramatizes this duality, close-ups of scientists furiously scribbling equations, juxtaposed with contemplative shots of solitary researchers staring at glowing data streams, the particle's elusive presence reflected in their eyes. The tension between order and uncertainty, between reason and imagination, becomes the central emotional thread, inviting the audience to share in the intellectual and emotional stakes of discovery. Philosophical implications deepen as the particle's behavior is considered in relation to human experience. Time, memory, choice, and perception, all concepts intimately tied to linear progression, are suddenly destabilized. If a particle can move outside the conventional flow of time, what does that mean for causality? Could events in the present influence the past? Could human decisions themselves be less fixed than we imagine, intertwined with a network of possibilities beyond direct perception? Cinematic sequences depict these questions visually. Ripples of light extend backward and forward across imagined timelines, shadows of past actions flicker beside potential futures, and threads of energy twist and fold like ribbons, illustrating the complex interdependence of moments that the particle seems to navigate effortlessly. The audience is drawn into a contemplation of reality that is both unsettling and profoundly inspiring, a universe where linearity is only one of many possible frameworks. The human dimension of the discovery is central to the narrative. Scientists are not passive observers. They are participants in a story that tests intellect, endurance, and imagination. Emotional stakes rise with every experiment. Faces lit by the glow of instruments reveal tension, hope, and awe. Hands tremble slightly over sensitive controls, and whispered conversations reflect both excitement and doubt. Cinematic pacing mirrors these oscillations. Rapid sequences of experimental monitoring contrast with slow, meditative shots of reflection and discussion. The particle's elusiveness heightens suspense, making every measurement a dramatic moment in an unfolding narrative that combines intellectual pursuit with emotional depth. Collaboration and conflict among researchers add another layer of tension. Teams across the globe interpret data differently, propose competing models, and challenge one another's assumptions. Some advocate radical new theories that redefine time itself, while others insist on adherence to conventional scientific frameworks, fearing overreach or misinterpretation. Cinematic sequences capture these debates dynamically. Gestures over diagrams, animated discussions, and rapid scribbling of equations intercut with visualization of the particle moving freely through its temporal landscape. The contrast between consensus and dissent mirrors the particle's own dual nature, present and yet elusive, predictable in certain patterns yet fundamentally unknowable in others. The section explores experiments that probe the particle's interaction with multiple temporal states. Evidence suggests it may occupy superpositions that span past, present, and future simultaneously, creating a reality in which events are not strictly sequential but interdependent. Visualizations depict this with dramatic effect. Overlapping layers of time rendered as translucent sheets, energy pulses bridging multiple planes of existence, and the particle moving gracefully among them. Viewers experience a sense of vertigo and wonder, contemplating a universe where human perception captures only a narrow slice of a far more intricate structure. The tension between known and unknown, certainty and mystery, forms the emotional core of the narrative. Psychological and ethical dimensions deepen the narrative further. Researchers grapple with the responsibility of studying and potentially manipulating a particle that defies temporal boundaries. Each experiment carries profound implications, not only for scientific knowledge but for broader philosophical and ethical considerations. Cinematic imagery underscores these stakes. Solitary figures in dimly lit laboratories, eyes fixed on fluctuating data, hands poised over sensitive equipment, reflecting both exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative emphasizes that discovery is inseparable from reflection and ethical contemplation, highlighting the weight of human responsibility in navigating phenomena that challenge fundamental assumptions about reality. Historical and cultural context enriches the story. Human fascination with time has been a constant through history, from ancient myths depicting gods who move freely through past and future, to philosophical inquiries into the nature of causality, to modern science fiction exploring alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypal fascinations, providing a tangible manifestation of concepts that have long inspired curiosity. Cinematic sequences blend imagery from past and present. Ancient astronomical charts, philosophical manuscripts, and modern laboratories coalesce, reinforcing the continuity of human inquiry and the enduring resonance of the particle's discovery. Despite progress, the particle remains elusive, ensuring sustained tension and engagement. Every measurement raises new questions. Every pattern hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic sequences alternate high-intensity experimental activity with reflective moments, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotional responses. Audiences share in the exhilaration, uncertainty, and profound awe experienced by the scientists, understanding that discovery is a journey, not a destination. The particle becomes a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the universe holds truths that challenge perception and imagination alike. The narrative also examines potential theoretical implications. Could this particle offer insights into unifying quantum mechanics and relativity? Might it reveal hidden dimensions, unseen structures of space-time, or mechanisms that transcend conventional understanding? Cinematic visualizations illustrate these possibilities. Energy waves ripple across imagined dimensions, timelines bend and intersect, and the particle navigates these realms with fluidity and grace. Viewers are invited to contemplate a universe that is simultaneously intelligible and infinitely mysterious, where the limits of human understanding are tested and expanded. The emotional arc of the section is carefully constructed. Researchers face moments of doubt, fatigue, and existential questioning. Some fear misinterpretation, errors, or unintended consequences. Others are driven by the exhilaration of proximity to a discovery that could redefine humanity's understanding of reality. Cinematic contrasts reinforce these dualities. Slow, reflective shots of contemplation alternate with sequences of rapid experimental monitoring, highlighting the tension between uncertainty and insight. Viewers experience the emotional highs and lows as if accompanying the scientists themselves, deepening engagement and empathy. The particle's behavior suggests a universe that is participatory, dynamic, and interconnected. Its freedom from temporal constraints implies that reality may be less rigid than previously assumed, shaped by observation, interaction, and perhaps consciousness itself. Cinematic imagery portrays this concept vividly. Shimmering threads of temporal potential ripple across space, alternate timelines overlap and weave into intricate patterns, and the particle glides effortlessly between these layers. The audience is drawn into the poetry of a universe that defies linear perception, experiencing awe and humility in equal measure. Finally, the section concludes with reflection and anticipation. The particle remains enigmatic, yet its impact on understanding is profound. Hope and fear, curiosity and caution, triumph and uncertainty intertwine, creating a rich tapestry of human and scientific experience. Viewers are left with lingering questions. If time is fluid, what does that imply for human choice, memory, and destiny? How should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination in a universe that exceeds comprehension? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic panorama, threads of temporal energy stretching across infinite space, the particle glinting like a solitary star in an endless expanse. The narrative ensures that awe, suspense, and curiosity persist, leaving the audience poised for the next stage of exploration. The particle becomes a symbol of humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding, a testament to the courage required to confront the unknown, and a mirror reflecting the boundless complexity of the universe itself. The discovery of a particle that escapes the flow of time has opened a portal into a realm that challenges the very essence of reality. While human perception has long depended on the linear progression of moments, this particle moves freely, unbound by past or future, existing in a state that defies conventional categorization. It does not merely blur the lines of cause and effect, it erases them, revealing a universe where time is less a fixed dimension and more a malleable landscape, responsive to observation, interaction, and perhaps even consciousness itself. Cinematic imagery portrays this in mesmerizing detail. Ripples of energy cascade across invisible timelines, threads of light fold and twist like ribbons in an unseen current, and the particle glimmers and shifts like a star glimpsed through the fabric of reality. This section delves deeply into the implications of temporal transcendence, blending rigorous science, philosophical inquiry, and cinematic storytelling to immerse the audience in the profound mystery of a universe unconstrained by linear time. To grasp the magnitude of the particle's implications, one must first understand how it defies classical and modern physics. Newtonian mechanics, with its assumptions of absolute space and time, suggests a predictable and ordered universe. Einstein's relativity introduced flexibility, demonstrating that time bends under gravity and motion, yet even these revolutionary ideas assume a continuum governed by causality. Quantum mechanics, with its probabilistic nature, added layers of uncertainty, but still within the constraints of temporal sequencing. The particle that escapes time, however, appears to operate entirely outside these frameworks. It can influence events retroactively, exist in multiple temporal states simultaneously, and manifest in locations before or after it is observed. Cinematic sequences illustrate these phenomena. Energy arcs shimmer across grids of light, graphs oscillate unpredictably, and laboratory instruments respond to signals that seem to anticipate future interactions. The contrast between the precision of human measurement and the particle's autonomous defiance heightens both drama and intellectual intrigue. Observation itself becomes a complex act. The particle's behavior suggests that the act of measurement may influence not just its present state, but its past and future as well. Scientists, long trained to approach observation as an objective, neutral act, find themselves entangled in the particle's temporal web. Cinematic storytelling amplifies this tension. Close-ups of researchers' eyes reflecting shifting energy patterns, hands hovering over sensitive equipment, and simulations depicting timelines folding and converging create a visceral sense of human vulnerability and wonder. Every experiment becomes a delicate negotiation between control and uncertainty, a dance of intellect and intuition in which every decision carries profound consequences. Philosophical ramifications deepen as the narrative unfolds. If the particle can move freely across time, the implications for human experience are staggering. Memory, causality, choice, and identity, all concepts rooted in the perception of linear time, become fluid, contingent, and perhaps even participatory. Could events in the present alter the past? Could decisions ripple backward as well as forward, creating a network of influence that transcends conventional understanding? Cinematic imagery visualizes these possibilities. Past and future moments superimpose, shadows of prior actions flicker beside potential outcomes, and energy threads twist through a complex lattice of temporality. Viewers are immersed in the disorientation, awe, and deep curiosity that arise when confronting a universe that is at once familiar and astonishingly alien. The human dimension remains central. Scientists experience an intricate web of emotional and cognitive responses: exhilaration, fear, doubt, and awe, all intertwined with the thrill of discovery. Faces illuminated by monitors reveal subtle tension. Hands poised over controls express anticipation and hesitation. Whispered conversations convey uncertainty, debate, and insight. Cinematic pacing mirrors these fluctuations. Rapid sequences of experimental monitoring alternate with contemplative shots of reflection, as researchers wrestle with both the tangible and intangible aspects of the particle's presence. The audience is drawn into a shared experience of suspense and intellectual engagement, feeling the stakes, pressures, and exhilaration alongside the scientists. Collaboration and debate add further richness to the narrative. Teams of researchers across the globe interpret data differently, proposing competing models and challenging assumptions. Some advocate for radical theories of time and reality, suggesting the existence of multiple temporal dimensions or retrocausal interactions. Others caution restraint, emphasizing the need for rigorous methodology and empirical grounding. Cinematic sequences highlight this intellectual tension. Animated discussions, gestures over diagrams, and the dynamic scribbling of equations are juxtaposed with the ethereal, almost supernatural, visualizations of the particle moving freely through its temporal landscape. The contrast between consensus and dissent mirrors the duality of the particle itself, present yet elusive, predictable in some respects yet fundamentally unknowable in others. Experiments increasingly suggest the particle may exist in superpositions that span multiple temporal states simultaneously, implying that the universe is composed of layers and intersections far more intricate than previously imagined. Cinematic sequences render this visually. Overlapping layers of time are depicted as translucent sheets, energy pulses bridge multiple planes of existence, and the particle glides effortlessly between them. These sequences immerse viewers in a sense of vertigo and wonder, emphasizing that human perception may capture only a fraction of the universe's full complexity. The tension between clarity and ambiguity, understanding and mystery, forms a core narrative thread that sustains both intellectual and emotional engagement. Psychological and ethical considerations intensify. Scientists grapple with the responsibility inherent in studying a particle that defies temporal boundaries. Every experiment carries potential consequences, not only for scientific knowledge but for broader philosophical, ethical, and existential questions. Cinematic imagery reinforces these stakes. Solitary researchers in dimly lit laboratories, eyes fixed on fluctuating data, hands poised over sensitive instruments, convey both exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative underscores that discovery is inseparable from ethical reflection, highlighting the human dimension of grappling with phenomena that challenge foundational assumptions about reality. Cultural and historical context enriches understanding further. Humanity has long imagined time as malleable, from mythological narratives of gods who traverse past and future to philosophical explorations of causality and memory, to modern fiction probing alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypal fascinations, providing a tangible manifestation of ideas that have long inspired wonder. Cinematic sequences blend historical imagery with contemporary experimentation. Ancient astronomical charts, philosophical manuscripts, and the glow of modern laboratories coalesce into a unified tableau, reinforcing the continuity of human inquiry and the enduring resonance of the particle's discovery. Despite growing comprehension, the particle remains elusive, sustaining tension and engagement. Every measurement raises new questions, every pattern hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic sequences alternate high-intensity experimental sequences with reflective, contemplative moments, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotional responses. The audience experiences exhilaration, uncertainty, and awe, understanding that discovery is a journey rather than a fixed endpoint. The particle becomes a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the universe continually challenges perception, imagination, and understanding. Theoretical implications continue to expand. Could this particle provide a bridge between quantum mechanics and relativity, offering insights into a unified theory of the universe? Might it reveal hidden dimensions, unseen structures, or mechanisms that transcend current understanding? Cinematic visualizations depict these possibilities in compelling ways. Energy waves ripple across multidimensional spaces, timelines bend and intersect, and the particle navigates these realms with fluid, almost choreographed precision. Viewers are invited to imagine a universe simultaneously intelligible and infinitely mysterious, where the limits of human comprehension are tested, extended, and transformed. Emotional stakes intensify. Researchers confront fatigue, doubt, and existential questioning. Some fear misinterpretation, accidental consequences, or the overwhelming implications of discovery. Others are propelled by exhilaration, proximity to understanding a phenomenon that could redefine humanity's perception of reality. Cinematic contrasts heighten these dualities. Reflective, meditative sequences alternate with rapid, high-intensity experimentation, highlighting the tension between uncertainty and insight. Audiences are immersed in the emotional and intellectual stakes of the narrative, empathizing with the scientist's journey and the profound implications of the particle. The particle's behavior suggests that reality itself may be participatory, dynamic, and interconnected. Its freedom from temporal constraints implies that events, observation, and consciousness may be intimately intertwined, creating a universe that is less rigid, more responsive, and infinitely more complex than previously assumed. Cinematic imagery visualizes this with grandeur. Shimmering threads of temporal potential ripple across the cosmos. Overlapping timelines create intricate lattices of possibility, and the particle moves with a fluid grace, guiding viewers through a universe that defies linear perception. The audience experiences both awe and humility, contemplating a cosmos whose architecture exceeds imagination. Finally, the section closes with reflection, tension, and anticipation. The particle remains a profound enigma, yet its impact on understanding is undeniable. Curiosity, fear, hope, and wonder intermingle, creating a rich tapestry of human and scientific experience. Viewers are left with lingering questions. If time is fluid, what does this mean for choice, memory, and destiny? How should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination in a universe that exceeds comprehension? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic panorama. Threads of temporal energy stretch across infinite space, the particle glinting like a solitary star against the vast darkness. Awe, suspense, and curiosity persist, leaving the audience poised for the next stage of exploration. The particle becomes both a symbol of scientific mystery and a mirror reflecting humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding in an ever-expanding universe. The particle that escapes time challenges not only physics but the deepest assumptions about existence itself. Its defiance of temporal boundaries suggests a universe more intricate and interwoven than previously imagined, a reality where past, present, and future may exist not as a linear sequence but as a multidimensional landscape. Imagine a particle moving freely across moments, leaving faint traces in the past before it has been observed, appearing in locations unpredicted by conventional models, and interacting in ways that suggest an unseen order underlying the apparent chaos. Cinematic imagery brings these phenomena to life. Streams of light ripple across invisible timelines, energy pulses fold like ribbons through space, and the particle glimmers and shifts like a solitary star navigating an intricate cosmic lattice. This section immerses the audience in the mystery, exploring both scientific and philosophical dimensions while maintaining a high emotional and intellectual engagement. To understand the magnitude of this discovery, one must consider the particle's unique temporal properties. Unlike ordinary matter, which progresses predictably through time, this particle operates beyond the confines of sequential causality. Experiments reveal that it can influence events retroactively, exist in multiple temporal states simultaneously, and manifest unpredictably across space and time. These behaviors defy not only classical Newtonian mechanics but also the probabilistic frameworks of quantum theory and the spacetime continuum of Einsteinian relativity. Cinematic sequences depict this visually. Energy arcs twist and weave through abstract grids, graphs fluctuate in patterns that defy conventional logic, and simulations portray overlapping timelines that converge and diverge in dazzling complexity. The contrast between human precision and the particle's autonomous behavior heightens suspense and awe, emphasizing the profound implications of its discovery. Observation itself becomes a complex, almost philosophical act. The particle's behavior suggests that measurement may influence not only its current state but also its past and future manifestations. Scientists, trained to maintain objectivity, find themselves entangled in a temporal web where every action has consequences beyond comprehension. Cinematic storytelling amplifies this tension. Close-ups of researchers' eyes reflect shifting energy patterns, hands hover over delicate instruments, and simulations depict timelines folding and intersecting in unexpected ways. The audience experiences the palpable tension of human curiosity confronting an entity that refuses to be fully understood, feeling the exhilaration, uncertainty, and wonder that drive the quest for knowledge. Philosophical ramifications are profound. If a particle can move outside linear time, human notions of memory, causality, identity, and choice are destabilized. Events may ripple backward as well as forward, creating a web of interconnected possibilities that challenges conventional understanding. Cinematic visualizations dramatize this concept. Past and future moments overlay one another, shadows of previous actions flicker alongside potential outcomes, and threads of energy twist through a complex lattice, illustrating the intricate interdependence of temporal states. Viewers are immersed in a universe where linearity is only one lens among many, evoking both awe and existential reflection. Human experience remains central. Scientists navigating this discovery experience intense emotional and cognitive responses. Excitement, doubt, fear, and awe all intermingle. Faces illuminated by monitors reveal tension and anticipation. Hands poised over controls express both caution and determination. Whispered conversations convey debate, collaboration, and the thrill of insight. Cinematic pacing mirrors these dynamics, alternating rapid sequences of monitoring and calculation with slow, contemplative moments of reflection. The audience shares in this emotional journey, experiencing the stakes, pressures, and exhilaration of discovery as if alongside the researchers themselves. Collaboration and conflict among scientists enrich the narrative. Teams across the globe interpret the particle's behavior differently, propose competing hypotheses, and challenge one another's assumptions. Some advocate radical theories, envisioning multiple temporal dimensions or retrocausal interactions. Others emphasize caution, adherence to empirical rigor, and skepticism in the face of phenomena that appear to defy established science. Cinematic sequences depict these debates dynamically. Animated discussions, gestures over diagrams, and the rapid scribbling of equations are intercut with visualizations of the particle navigating its temporal landscape. The contrast between consensus and dissent mirrors the particle's dual nature, present yet elusive, predictable in some respects yet fundamentally unknowable in others. Experiments increasingly suggest that the particle may occupy superpositions that span past, present, and future simultaneously. This implies a universe composed of intersecting layers, where events interweave across temporal planes. Cinematic sequences visualize this: translucent layers of time, energy pulses bridging multiple planes, and the particle gliding effortlessly between them, creating a dizzying sense of complexity and scale. Viewers experience the vertigo and wonder of contemplating a reality that far exceeds conventional understanding. The narrative emphasizes the tension between clarity and ambiguity, knowledge and mystery, drawing the audience into the unfolding exploration of temporal reality. Psychological and ethical dimensions become ever more significant. Scientists confront the responsibility of studying an entity that defies the fundamental constraints of time. Each experiment carries potential consequences not only for knowledge but for philosophical, ethical, and existential understanding. Cinematic imagery underscores these stakes. Solitary researchers in dimly lit laboratories, eyes fixed on fluctuating data, hands poised over sensitive instruments, convey both exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative highlights that discovery is inseparable from ethical reflection, reinforcing the weight of human responsibility when engaging with phenomena that challenge the foundations of reality. Historical and cultural perspectives provide context. Human fascination with time has persisted for millennia, from mythological narratives of gods who traverse past and future, to philosophical inquiry into causality and memory, to modern science fiction exploring alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypal fascinations, offering a tangible manifestation of concepts that have long inspired wonder. Cinematic sequences blend historical imagery with contemporary experimentation. Ancient astronomical charts, philosophical manuscripts, and the ethereal glow of modern laboratories coalesce, creating a visual bridge between past curiosity and present discovery, emphasizing the continuity of human inquiry. Despite advances in understanding, the particle remains elusive. Every observation generates new questions. Each discovered pattern hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic sequences alternate between high-intensity experimentation and reflective, contemplative moments, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotional responses. Audiences experience the thrill, uncertainty, and awe shared by the scientists, appreciating the particle not only as a scientific curiosity but as a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the universe continually challenges human perception, imagination, and understanding. Theoretical implications continue to expand. Could this particle serve as a bridge between quantum mechanics and relativity, providing insights into a unified theory of the universe? Might it reveal hidden dimensions, unseen structures, or mechanisms that transcend current models? Cinematic visualizations explore these possibilities. Energy waves ripple across multidimensional space, timelines fold and intersect, and the particle moves gracefully within these realms. Viewers are invited to contemplate a universe simultaneously intelligible and infinitely mysterious, where the limits of human understanding are constantly tested and expanded. Emotional stakes heighten as scientists navigate discovery. They confront fatigue, doubt, and existential questioning. Some fear misinterpretation, unintended consequences, or the implications of comprehending a particle that challenges the very notion of time. Others are propelled by exhilaration, the proximity to understanding a phenomenon that could redefine humanity's perception of reality. Cinematic contrasts reinforce these dualities. Slow, contemplative sequences alternate with rapid, high-intensity experimental monitoring, emphasizing the tension between uncertainty and insight. Audiences empathize with these human experiences, connecting emotionally with the narrative while engaging intellectually with the particle's mysteries. The particle suggests that reality is dynamic, participatory, and interconnected. Its freedom from temporal constraints implies that events, observation, and consciousness may interact in ways previously unimaginable. Cinematic imagery conveys this. Threads of temporal potential shimmer across cosmic landscapes, overlapping timelines create intricate lattices, and the particle moves fluidly among these layers. Viewers are immersed in a poetic vision of a universe that defies linear perception, experiencing awe, humility, and wonder in equal measure. Finally, the section concludes with reflection, tension, and anticipation. The particle remains an enigma, yet its impact on human understanding is undeniable. Curiosity, fear, hope, and wonder intertwine, forming a rich tapestry of human and scientific experience. Viewers are left with profound questions. If time is not linear, what are the implications for choice, memory, and destiny? How should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination in a universe that exceeds comprehension? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic panorama, threads of temporal energy stretching across infinite space, the particle glinting like a solitary star against the vast darkness. Awe, suspense, and curiosity persist, leaving the audience poised for the next stage of exploration. The particle becomes both a scientific marvel and a mirror reflecting humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding in a universe that remains infinitely mysterious. The particle that escapes time is not merely a scientific curiosity, it is a profound disruption of human understanding. Its existence challenges the assumption that time flows in a single, unbroken line from past to future, suggesting instead that reality may be far more fluid, interconnected, and multidimensional than previously imagined. This particle's behavior, appearing unpredictably, influencing events retroactively, and existing simultaneously in multiple temporal states, forces scientists and philosophers alike to confront the limitations of knowledge, the boundaries of perception, and the potential flexibility of reality itself. Cinematic imagery brings these concepts to life. Energy ribbons weave across invisible temporal grids, glowing threads of light fold and intersect in complex patterns, and the particle glimmers like a solitary beacon navigating a cosmic lattice. This section immerses the audience in the particle's paradoxical nature, blending intellectual inquiry with emotional resonance, philosophical reflection, and cinematic spectacle. To comprehend the particle's significance, one must first understand its temporal properties. Unlike ordinary matter, which obeys predictable sequences governed by classical and modern physics, this particle moves independently of linear causality. It can appear before it is expected, influence events after the fact, and exist in superpositions that span past, present, and future simultaneously. These behaviors defy Newtonian mechanics, challenge Einsteinian relativity, and extend beyond the probabilistic constraints of quantum theory. Cinematic sequences visualize this complexity. Arcs of energy twist and loop through abstract grids, graphs oscillate in unrepeatable patterns, and overlapping timelines ripple and fold in ways that evoke both beauty and disorientation. The contrast between human measurement and the particle's autonomous behavior heightens suspense and wonder, illustrating the profound implications of its discovery. Observation itself becomes an act of profound consequence. The particle's existence suggests that measurement is not merely passive but participatory, potentially influencing past, present, and future states. Scientists trained to observe objectively find themselves enmeshed in the particle's temporal web. Cinematic storytelling intensifies this tension. Researchers' eyes reflect shifting energy streams, hands hover over instruments with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation, and simulations depict timelines bending, converging, and diverging unpredictably. Every measurement carries stakes, both intellectual and existential, creating a narrative that is as emotionally engaging as it is scientifically compelling. The philosophical ramifications are profound. If time is not linear, the human concepts of memory, causality, identity, and choice require reconsideration. Events may ripple backward and forward, creating a lattice of interdependent possibilities. Cinematic visualizations dramatize this concept. Past and future moments overlay, shadows of previous actions flicker alongside potential outcomes, and threads of energy twist through a lattice of time. Viewers are drawn into a universe in which linearity is only one lens among many, evoking a sense of awe, curiosity, and existential reflection. Human experience remains central to the narrative. Scientists navigating this discovery face intense cognitive and emotional challenges. Exhilaration, doubt, fear, and awe intertwine as they confront phenomena that defy conventional understanding. Faces illuminated by monitors reveal tension, anticipation, and wonder. Hands poised over controls express both caution and determination. Whispered discussions convey debate, collaboration, and revelation. Cinematic pacing mirrors these dynamics, alternating rapid sequences of experimental monitoring with contemplative moments of reflection, allowing the audience to experience the stakes, pressures, and exhilaration of discovery firsthand. Collaboration and conflict among researchers add depth and tension. Teams across the globe interpret the particle's behavior differently, propose competing hypotheses, and challenge assumptions. Some advocate radical models suggesting multiple temporal dimensions or retrocausal interactions. Others urge caution, emphasizing empirical rigor and adherence to well-established scientific frameworks. Cinematic sequences dramatize these debates. Animated discussions, gestures over diagrams, and rapid scribbling of equations intercut with visualizations of the particle navigating its temporal landscape. The contrast between consensus and dissent mirrors the particle itself, present yet elusive, predictable in some respects yet fundamentally unknowable in others. Experiments suggest that the particle may occupy superpositions spanning past, present, and future simultaneously. This implies that reality is composed of intersecting layers, where events interweave across multiple temporal planes. Cinematic sequences visualize this. Translucent layers of time ripple and fold, energy pulses bridge these planes, and the particle glides through them effortlessly, creating a sense of vertigo and wonder. The narrative emphasizes the tension between clarity and ambiguity, certainty and mystery, drawing the audience deeper into the exploration of temporal reality. Psychological and ethical considerations intensify. Scientists confront the responsibility of studying a particle that defies temporal constraints. Each experiment carries profound implications not only for knowledge but for philosophical, ethical, and existential understanding. Cinematic imagery conveys this tension. Solitary researchers in dimly lit laboratories, eyes fixed on fluctuating data, hands poised over delicate instruments, embody both exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative emphasizes that discovery is inseparable from ethical reflection, reinforcing the profound human stakes in engaging with phenomena that challenge foundational assumptions about reality. Historical and cultural context provides richness. Humanity has long been fascinated with time, from myths of gods moving freely across past and future to philosophical inquiry into causality, to modern science fiction exploring alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypal fascinations, offering a tangible manifestation of concepts that have long inspired curiosity. Cinematic sequences blend historical imagery with contemporary experimentation. Ancient astronomical charts, philosophical manuscripts, and glowing laboratories coalesce, creating a visual bridge between past curiosity and present discovery, highlighting the continuity of human inquiry. Despite progress, the particle remains elusive. Every observation generates new questions. Each discovered pattern hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic sequences alternate between high-intensity experimental monitoring and reflective, contemplative moments, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotional responses. The audience experiences the thrill, uncertainty, and awe shared by scientists, appreciating the particle as both a scientific marvel and a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the universe continually challenges perception and imagination. Theoretical implications continue to expand. Could this particle serve as a bridge between quantum mechanics and relativity, offering insights into a unified theory of the universe? Might it reveal hidden dimensions or mechanisms that transcend conventional understanding? Cinematic visualizations depict these possibilities. Energy waves ripple across multidimensional spaces, timelines fold and intersect, and the particle moves fluidly within these realms. Viewers are invited to imagine a universe simultaneously intelligible and infinitely mysterious, where human comprehension is constantly tested and expanded. Emotional stakes heighten. Researchers confront doubt, fatigue, and existential questioning. Some fear misinterpretation, unintended consequences, or the implications of a particle that defies linear time. Others are propelled by exhilaration, drawn to the possibility of understanding a phenomenon that could fundamentally reshape humanity's perception of reality. Cinematic contrasts emphasize these dualities. Reflective, meditative sequences alternate with rapid, high-intensity experimental monitoring, highlighting the tension between uncertainty and insight. Audiences empathize with the scientist's journey, engaging both intellectually and emotionally with the unfolding narrative. The particle suggests that reality may be participatory, dynamic, and interconnected. Its freedom from temporal constraints implies that events, observation, and consciousness may interact in ways previously unimaginable. Cinematic imagery conveys this. Threads of temporal potential shimmer across cosmic landscapes, overlapping timelines create intricate lattices, and the particle moves fluidly among these layers. Viewers are immersed in a poetic vision of a universe that defies linear perception, experiencing awe, humility, and wonder in equal measure. Finally, the section concludes with reflection, tension, and anticipation. The particle remains an enigma, yet its impact on understanding is profound. Curiosity, fear, hope, and wonder intermingle, forming a rich tapestry of human and scientific experience. Audiences are left with lingering questions. If time is fluid, what does this mean for choice, memory, and destiny? How should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination in a universe that exceeds comprehension? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic panorama, threads of temporal energy stretching across infinite space, the particle glinting like a solitary star against the vast darkness. Awe, suspense, and curiosity persist, leaving viewers poised for the next stage of exploration. The particle becomes a symbol of humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding in a universe that remains infinitely mysterious, a testament to courage, intellect, and wonder. The journey into the mystery of the particle that escapes time reaches its culmination in an exploration of both the universe and the human mind. After centuries of perceiving time as an unyielding river, this particle forces us to confront the possibility that time is more like a vast, multidimensional landscape, folding, stretching, and intersecting in ways that challenge everything we thought we understood. It is a bridge between the tangible and the intangible, between science and philosophy, between observation and imagination. Cinematic imagery brings this reality to life. Threads of light pulse across invisible planes, energy arcs fold in hypnotic patterns, and the particle glimmers like a solitary jewel navigating an infinite lattice of temporal dimensions. The audience is drawn into a universe that is at once breathtakingly beautiful, intellectually perplexing, and emotionally stirring, a universe where the ordinary laws of linearity and causality are no longer absolute. This particle's existence redefines the scope of scientific inquiry. Physics, long constrained by the frameworks of Newton, Einstein, and the quantum pioneers, now faces questions that demand imagination and radical thinking. The particle's ability to exist outside the conventional flow of time suggests that our understanding of energy, matter, and causality is incomplete, that the universe is far more intricate and mysterious than textbooks have conveyed. Cinematic sequences visualize this. Laboratories filled with oscillating graphs and glowing instruments juxtaposed with abstract visualizations of energy waves weaving across time, creating a contrast between human effort and the particle's elusive, autonomous nature. This contrast underscores a core theme. Discovery is not merely about control or understanding but about participating in a dialogue with the universe itself, a dialogue that is unpredictable, exhilarating, and humbling. Observation itself becomes a philosophical act. Scientists interacting with the particle find that their measurements may shape reality in ways they cannot fully anticipate. The act of observing the particle seems to ripple backward and forward in time, influencing not only present phenomena but also past and future outcomes. Cinematic storytelling heightens this tension. Eyes reflecting streams of data, hands hovering above delicate instruments, and visualizations of timelines folding upon themselves convey both the awe and the risk inherent in this pursuit. Viewers are immersed in the delicate balance of curiosity and caution, understanding that exploration of the particle is not merely an intellectual exercise but a profound engagement with the fabric of reality. Philosophically, the particle forces a reconsideration of identity, choice, and causality. If events are interconnected across multiple temporal planes, then the consequences of actions are far more complex than linear models suggest. Decisions may echo backward as well as forward, altering the course of events in ways that are subtle, profound, or even imperceptible. Cinematic imagery visualizes this complexity. Moments from the past flicker alongside potential futures, intertwined threads of energy trace the ripple of cause and effect, and the particle moves with a grace that suggests hidden intelligence or inherent order. Viewers are invited to ponder the interplay between free will, determinism, and the participation of consciousness in shaping reality, creating a profound sense of wonder and existential reflection. The human element of this discovery is central to the narrative. Scientists, philosophers, and thinkers are portrayed not as distant observers but as participants in an unfolding drama. Faces illuminated by the glow of instruments reflect curiosity, tension, and awe. Hands hover above controls with both precision and hesitation. Conversations are filled with excitement, debate, and insight, capturing the human struggle to comprehend a phenomenon that defies expectation. Cinematic pacing alternates between high-intensity experimental monitoring and contemplative, reflective moments, mirroring the oscillation between effort and understanding, certainty and mystery. Audiences are drawn into a shared journey of intellectual and emotional engagement, experiencing the thrill, anxiety, and exhilaration of confronting the unknown. Global collaboration intensifies the narrative. Teams of researchers interpret the particle's behavior differently, propose competing theories, and challenge one another's assumptions. Some advocate radical frameworks involving multiple temporal dimensions or retrocausal influences. Others emphasize caution, insisting on methodological rigor and empirical validation. Cinematic sequences illustrate this dynamic. Animated discussions, gestures over diagrams, and frantic scribbling of equations are intercut with visualizations of the particle navigating its multidimensional temporal domain. The contrast between consensus and dissent mirrors the particle itself, elusive, unpredictable, and simultaneously present and absent, highlighting the tension between human understanding and the universe's inherent complexity. Experiments reveal that the particle may occupy multiple temporal states simultaneously, suggesting that reality is a lattice of interconnected possibilities. This challenges not only scientific models but also human intuition, requiring an expansion of imagination and perception. Cinematic sequences depict translucent layers of time folding and intersecting, energy pulses bridging these layers, and the particle moving effortlessly through its domain. Viewers are drawn into a sense of vertigo and wonder, contemplating a cosmos that transcends conventional understanding, where clarity and ambiguity coexist in a delicate, mesmerizing balance. Psychological and ethical stakes deepen. The particle's defiance of temporal constraints imposes responsibility on those who study it. Each experiment carries consequences, not only for knowledge but for philosophical, ethical, and existential understanding. Cinematic imagery emphasizes these stakes. Solitary researchers in dimly lit laboratories, eyes focused on fluctuating data, hands poised over delicate instruments, embody both exhilaration and apprehension. The narrative reinforces that the pursuit of discovery is inseparable from ethical reflection, highlighting humanity's responsibility when engaging with forces that challenge foundational assumptions about reality. Historical and cultural context enriches understanding. Humanity has long been fascinated by the nature of time, from mythological tales of gods moving freely across past and future to philosophical inquiries into causality and modern science fiction exploring alternate timelines and paradoxes. The particle embodies these archetypal curiosities, providing a tangible manifestation of ideas that have captivated human imagination for millennia. Cinematic sequences merge historical imagery with contemporary experimentation. Ancient astronomical charts, philosophical manuscripts, and the glow of modern laboratories converge, illustrating the continuity of inquiry and the enduring resonance of the particle's discovery. Despite significant advances, the particle remains enigmatic. Each measurement generates new questions, each observation hints at deeper mysteries. Cinematic sequences alternate high-intensity experimental monitoring with reflective, meditative moments, visualizing abstract phenomena alongside human emotion. Audiences experience the exhilaration, uncertainty, and awe shared by the scientists, understanding that the particle is both a scientific marvel and a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that the universe continually challenges human perception, imagination, and comprehension. Theoretical implications continue to expand. Could this particle serve as a bridge between quantum mechanics and relativity, potentially illuminating a unified theory of the universe? Might it reveal hidden dimensions, previously undetectable structures, or mechanisms that transcend conventional scientific understanding? Cinematic visualizations depict these possibilities. Energy waves ripple across multidimensional spaces, timelines fold and intersect, and the particle moves with an elegant autonomy through its realm. Viewers are invited to imagine a universe simultaneously intelligible and infinitely mysterious, a universe where the limits of human comprehension are tested and stretched beyond imagination. Emotional stakes escalate. Scientists confront doubt, fatigue, and existential uncertainty. Some fear misinterpretation, unintended consequences, or the profound implications of a particle that defies the very notion of time. Others are propelled by exhilaration, drawn to the possibility of understanding a phenomenon that could fundamentally reshape humanity's perception of reality. Cinematic contrasts emphasize these tensions. Reflective, contemplative sequences alternate with rapid, high-intensity experimental observation, underscoring the interplay between uncertainty and insight. Audiences empathize with the scientist's journey, engaging intellectually and emotionally with the unfolding narrative. The particle suggests that reality is participatory, dynamic, and interconnected. Its freedom from temporal constraints implies that events, observation, and consciousness may interact in ways that transcend prior understanding. Cinematic imagery conveys this vision. Threads of temporal potential shimmer across cosmic landscapes, overlapping timelines form intricate lattices, and the particle moves fluidly through them. Viewers are immersed in a poetic and awe-inspiring vision of a universe that defies linear perception, leaving a lasting impression of wonder, humility, and intellectual curiosity. Finally, the section culminates in reflection, resolution, and anticipation. The particle remains an enigma, yet its discovery profoundly transforms our understanding of reality. Curiosity, fear, hope, and wonder intertwine, forming a tapestry that captures both human and scientific experience. Audiences are left with lingering questions. If time is not linear, how does this reshape memory, choice, and destiny? How should humanity navigate knowledge, ethics, and imagination in a universe that surpasses comprehension? Cinematic imagery expands to a cosmic panorama. Threads of temporal energy stretch across infinite space, the particle glinting like a solitary star against the vast darkness. Awe, suspense, and curiosity endure, leaving viewers poised to reflect, imagine, and question. The particle becomes a symbol of humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding, an emblem of courage, intellect, and wonder in a universe that remains infinitely mysterious, a universe whose depths beckon to those willing to look beyond the boundaries of time itself.